so at some point, he has to put a time up onto the boards. So we'll send him on around. This is the Brian Gossel Racing BG Automotive number 6 G car. He's out of Windsor, Colorado. Coming out, he'll take the green flag. 4 combined laps for a qualifying time. So he has to turn in 4 good laps on a qualifying time. The pole position yesterday averaged 11.186 lap time. He just turned an 11.8, which technically would put him about up the number 27 qualified spot. So 11.719 on his warm-up lap, and he is officially on the clock. So again, 4 combined laps in qualifying, and Gossel working the wheel out of the corner, just cut an 11.765. So much better than he qualified yesterday. Yesterday, his average lap time was a 12.248, so a huge improvement of half a second, which in pavement terms is a lot, and that's an 11.691 faster yet for Brian Gossel. So he's looking for a good qualifying run here to try to bump into a little further up into the field, but he gets 1 shot today. Checkered flag comes out 11.634 on that last lap around. They'll combine those 4 laps. We'll see where he ends up with the his combined time, and they'll put him into the lineup. Only the top 15 are safe. They are locked into the field coming into today's bump day qualifying. Everybody else, it's a little bit up for grabs for them. So it looks like Brian Gossel with a 45.809, 45.809 combined, and that is good enough, 45.809. That would have put him in the top 15, so that actually moves him to the number 16 qualified spot. So you cannot start better than 15th, but he is now 16th on the field, which is a $500 bonus if he can hang on to it. But the bump day, the way it works, so I'm going to explain this now. Now Brian Gossel's off here. We don't have any other competitors coming out for qualifying time. We have 4 cars on property that are not qualified into the show at this point. The number 81 of Bobby Komisarski is not qualified in. He was 34th quick yesterday. Nick Richards is a new entry for us today. The number 12 car, the 2P or the 12P. I'm not sure how he's going to be scored, but the Anderson, Indiana runner in the number whatever is a new entry for us today. Ronald Werdermann out of Cincinnati, Ohio is a new one for us today, the 32, and Christian Kohler, the number 10 car out of South Bend, Indiana, wasn't able to make it yesterday. Now, the thing about Christian is he was out on the track earlier today, had mechanical failure. They took him back into the pit area, and that car up on jack stands down the pits. They're working on that, trying to get him back out here on the racetrack. So 4 cars have not qualified in. But what Brian Gossel did is he gave up his qualifying time from yesterday. Brian Tyler did the same thing. Brian was qualified 25th quick on the field in a number 44 car. He, too, went to the officials, said, I'd like to give up my time from yesterday. When they do that, they go back to zeros. They have no qualifying time accredited to them, and they have to come out. They get they get 2 attempts, but only 1 qualifying time to turn in. So if you qualify, you come out here to requalify, and let's say you go 33rd quick on the field and you make the field, and somebody comes out after you and bumps you out of the field, you have 0 shots of making it back in because you can only turn in 1 qualifying time today. So there is a risk involved. If you give up your qualifying time, qualify poorly, and then get bumped from the field, you cannot come out and attempt to qualify yourself back in again. So we have 2 hours. It's an hour, or 120 minutes, I think is how they term it, for bump day today. So we're not going to see a lot of activity during this bump day. But I'll give you a rundown. Your top 15 cars locked in, and our front row starters are going to be Cody Swanson, the number 4 car on the pole. Again, he was on the pole last year with the Nolan Racing number 4 car, picked up the win last year, actually went back-to-back. It was his 3rd Little 500 victory. But Swanson's going to roll from the pole, and it's a 3-wide start, 11 rows deep. Tyler Rohrig, the number 56, and the 5 of Kyle Hamilton, that's your front row tomorrow. And you can see a picture of them up on the social medias if you want to take a look at that. Dakota Armstrong, the 7A, starts on the inside of row number 2. The middle row number 2 is going to be Brian Gerster in the 27. And the outside of row number 2, Chris Neuenschwander in the number 12. Bobby Santos, the 3rd, the 22A car, the Massachusetts racer, is going to start on the inside of row number 3. To the middle of row number 3 is Billy Weiss in the number 12, one of 3 number 12 cars on property for the record. And the outside, Mickey Kempkins in the number 68. It takes back to row number 4 on the inside, Caleb Armstrong in the 7C. Derek Bishak in the number 31 starts the middle, and Shane Butler, the 18 car, starts to the outside. And then row number 5 is comprised of Aaron Pierce, the 26P car, to the inside. John Inman is in the middle of that row number 5, and to the outside, Jerry Coons Jr. in the 64. Those 15 cars are locked in. They're solid. Everybody else has positions up for grab. Now, what happened was Scotty Hampton, the 51H car, was 16th quick on the field. That was an inside starting spot. Now he has been moved with Brian Tyler coming out, and requalifying. Brian Tyler now goes to 16th quick on the field, and that moves Scott Hampton to the center of that row. Kyle O'Gara will be to the outside of that row number 6 in the number 18 starting spot. What may happen is as this gets shuffled around, as guys qualify into the field or give up a time, come out here and qualify, and don't forget, Brian Tyler is going to do the same thing, the number 44 car. As they get shuffled around, if they're back in the mid-pack or the tail of the field and they get shuffled to the outside of the row, they will give up their time and come out and attempt to requalify because they want to get to the inside. If you're on the inside starting spot, a 3-wide start here at Anderson Speedway, you're almost guaranteed to pick up 5 or 6 spots on the initial start of the race. And so they want to be to the inside. One to watch on this is Jacob Wilson. 07 car qualified in yesterday, 19th starting spot. He was on the inside of row number 7. Now he moves to the middle of row number 7, and you may see the 07 car come out here, give up his time, take one shot at it, and try to qualify and get that number 16 spot and get himself back to the inside of the row, plus a $500 bonus for being the fastest lap out here today. But he is definitely one to watch. Johnny Gilbertson, the number 22, is another one that I kind of suspect may give up his time and try to qualify in that 16 spot. But Brian Tyler, the 44, he was qualified 25th quick on the field, and now he's going to take a shot at qualifying a little better. So he gave up his time. Right now, he is not in the field. So he'll come around and take the one to go from a starter stand, his first lap, a warm-up lap. As long as he doesn't take the checkered flag, he'll get one more attempt. Only 2 attempts today. Yesterday, we had 3 attempts to qualify into the field. So only 2 attempts are given today. Here's the green flag, and he is loose coming out turn number 4. Warm-up lap at 11.851. And again, you got to average. You want to get into that 16 spot, you got an average around an 11.4 lap time. So lap number 1 going into the books, 11.588 for Brian Tyler. So we'll see what happens. Again, he can pull to the infield at any time as long as he doesn't take the checker flag, and he'll get one more attempt at qualifying, but only 2 attempts. Second lap at 11.480, not too shabby. And he's got spotters talking to him in the ear. The crew members are watching the lap times. They're paying attention to the race car, and obviously Brian has a lot of say in it as well. Third lap's at 11.589. So you're looking at about 11, low 11.5, high 11.4 lap time, and he's going to go for it. Here comes the checkered flag. And Brian Tyler out of turn number 4 brings it across and goes 11.553. So that is his qualifying time for the day. He is done. So he was 25th quick on the field. We'll see what the combined time is for Brian here when I get him logged in. But we'll see what that number pops up here. So the qualifying 4 laps rather, all combined. So get it in there, and it sounds like he should be about 19th on the field. So 19th on the field puts him on the inside of row number 7, and that moves Jacob Wilson to the outside of row number 7. So watch for the 07 car to come back out here again. So far, my timing and scoring not updating. I would give you the so we'll scroll down through. There we go. 46.210. 46.210. For Brian Tyler. So that will move him into the number 19 spots. So now Jacob Wilson is out on the outside. So that'll shuffle some things around. So now Jacob Wilson may be coming out here. Thanks for joining us on Flow Racing. We appreciate each and every one of you. Make sure you follow along with Flow Racing on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can follow along with the Anderson Speedway as well. Give Anderson Speedway some love. And thank them for allowing us to come out here with Flow Racing and broadcast the Little 500, the 72nd running of the Little 500. Did a lot of cool interviews yesterday and today. If you have the Flow Racing app, or Flow Sports app, rather, Flow Sports app, you go up there as an event hub, and you can see all those interviews are posted directly to the app itself or up on the website. So not necessarily on social media. It's good to follow us on social media to find out where we're going to be and what we're going to do. But a lot of the content, or the vast majority of the content, happens on the Flow Sports app. So make sure you slide up and check it out. But I talked to Kenny Schrader this morning. We chatted with Scott Hampton and Jacob Wilson, were our 3 interviews we did this morning. All of them very interesting. And actually, Wilson, we talked about the fact of whether or not he would come out here and attempt to qualify a little bit better. So Christian Kohler, I see that coming up in the chat. Vince Vogel tuned in, watching again here today. And, yes, had mechanical difficulty and hopefully able to get the number 10 car back out here. So we still have Bobby Komisarski, Nick Richards, Ronald Werdermann, and Christian Kohler are our 4 cars that are not qualified into the 33-car field at this juncture. So we'll scroll up through and see who's chatting with us here on the old Facebook Live. But again, this is bump day, and it will not be a lot of on-track action. So you're basically concerned about the 4 cars and maybe a couple of the other guys that may give up time. That $500 bonus is very tempting for a lot of them. But I do fully expect, and I should get a text message from Down to Pits. Jared is taking care of us down to Pits. He sends text messages when he hears updates about drivers. And I'm pretty sure we're going to hear that Jacob Wilson's coming out here and give up his qualifying time, which is crazy if you think about it. He was 19th quick. Now he's 21st quick. But we'll give that up and try to get the number 16 spot. So again, we locked those top 15 drivers in yesterday off the pole day, the 72nd running of the Payless Little 500. Racing action starts tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. There is the opening ceremonies and different things. There's a warm-up session. We won't broadcast the warm-up session when they come out and warm up the cars and everything else, but we will go live for all the opening ceremonies and all the pomp and circumstance that happens before the running of Little 500. And then the green flag time for Little 500, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time tomorrow from right here at Anderson Speedway. Anderson, Indiana is where we're located. And the temperatures tomorrow, I'm so stoked about this, a high of 76 degrees. So tomorrow night's going to be nice and cool, and nice and cool means a lot of horsepower. And I like that. But hopefully you'll join us if you can't make it out to the racetrack. Are you watching on the Facebook Live? He's tuned in on the Facebook Live out there watching from the stands. Got a little wave from the fans in the stands. But yeah, if you're not able to make it out here, you can watch everything live on Flow Racing. We'd love to have you on board for that. Scott Carter and Carter Racing tuned in from Batavia. Is it Batavia or Batavia, Ohio? I'm going with Batavia, Ohio. I used to know how to say that. Josh writes, thank you for tuning in. Eric Gordon, Spike Root wants to know how Eric Gordon's doing. Eric Gordon's doing very well, as a matter of fact. He is qualified in 21st, or was 21st. Now he's going to get bumped down a couple spots. So he was the outside row. That might actually move him to the inside. So Eric Gordon may not come out and attempt to requalify. We'll find out. The Jacob interview, Andrea asking about that. That's on the Flow Sports app. So if you go to the Flow Sports or Flow Sports app or flowracing.com, flowracing.tv, you can find them up there as well. But the easiest thing is download the Flow Sports app. There's all kinds of cool stuff up there, but that's where most of the stuff is posted. There was 4 interviews we did yesterday too. So like 7 different drivers we talked to about various strategies. Speaking of Eric Gordon, we interviewed him yesterday, and one of the coolest things he said, it was funny to me, is he's 9-time champ. If you're not familiar, Eric Gordon, phenomenal pavement racer, and 9-time champ the Little 500. And I said, well, you're going for number 10. Do you come in with the same strategy you used before? And he said, oh, yeah, we use the same strategy every year. He said, and then they drop the green flag, and that goes right out the window. So I thought that was pretty much a good description of Little 500. Kenny Schrader back. We interviewed him today, and after the interview was over, he said that he ran the first one. He swore he'd never come back. 500 laps. He said, at my age, that's 500 laps, a long way around here. And he said, but the next year, his wife said, are you going back? And he said, no, I'm not planning on it. She said, well, you might as well, because I'm taking the camper and going anyway. So Kenny Schrader came back, and now this is his 4th Little 500. It's just one of those events. But good interview with him. You can check that out on the Flow Sports app as well. Here we go, our next contestant coming out. This is going to be Ronald Werdermann out of Cincinnati, Ohio, and the Terry Broaddus-owned number 32 car will come out. Now, he is not qualified into the field. He is not one of the top 33 cars. Sherry Broaddus, sponsor there with the TB Motorsports number 32 cars he pushes off. Made a debut in USAC Silver Crown Series late last year in 2019. He's regular with the Must See Racing Series, which you can check out some of that action. We used to broadcast that. So he'll bring it around. It's his warm-up lap. This will be his very first Little 500 he's trying to get in the show. Was not here yesterday to qualify, I don't believe. His green flag comes out. Here we go. Warm-up lap. 12.347. He's kind of easing it around, and I don't know if he's going to fully commit to this one or not. Now, remember, he gets 2 attempts. So as long as he doesn't take the checkered flag, he can come out and make another attempt. This could just be getting a feel for the racetrack. First lap, a 12.010, 12.010. That is good enough to make the field. Should get him down there in about the number 31 starting spot. So he may stick with it. It'll be a one and done. 11.587, much better that lap, and he's starting to crank up the wick on the number 32 car, and it's going to work out well for Ronnie Werdermann. Just needs to make it into the field, and worry about it from there on out. As long as you can pass cars, you'll be just fine, and there's an 11.675, so 3 pretty decent laps, and he is going to put this one into the books. Number 32 car deep down into turn number 3, brings it on to the front stretch. Checkered flag comes out, and he is across with 11.738, so that is definitely good enough to make it into the field. And that's going to bump somebody out. As a matter of fact, it will bump out, I think, Tommy Nichols, and the 55 car will be bumped from the field now. So we will see what his combined time is there. But Ronnie Werdermann, he is a 47.010. 47.010 the combined time. So that moves him down into about the number 26 spots. So that will bump. Now Tommy Nichols in the 55 car is bumped out of the field. So the 55 will have to come out here and attempt to requalify back into the little 500. Nichols, the racer out of Tampa, Florida. So we'll see the 55 car show up. So it's 120 minutes of qualifying time. I don't have the official clock. We're already about 20 minutes into it, we'll say. So as long as they're in the qualifying lanes, which are where the cones are located in the infield, it's not the entire infield, it's where the cones are. So as we get towards the end of this thing, you're going to see some of the drivers that are in danger of losing a spot come out here, suited up, the car ready to go. So if they are bumped out of the field, they can just simply be shoved forward into the lanes, and as long as they're out on a track before the time ends, they get to qualify. But if the time ends and they are not out on the racetrack, then qualifying is done for the day. It doesn't matter. So if you have 2 or 3 cars in the qualifying lanes, already locked into the qualifying lanes, and one's out on the track and time ends, the cars that are left in the qualifying lanes do not get to qualify. It is done at that point. So there's a lot of stress that happens towards the end of the 2 hours of bump day. What else we got watching? Let's go back to Facebook since we got a little bit of time. John Howard asking what the total car count is out here. The total car count was 37. We start 33. So car count down this year thanks to COVID, unfortunately. And a big part of that is the USAC National Midget Series is racing tonight and tomorrow night out at Sweet Springs Motorsports Complex. A couple of the drivers that we normally would find here at the Little 500 are out running at Sweet Springs. You can check that racing action out on Flow Racing as well. That'll be broadcast tonight. We'll be done here at 3:30. I'm going to be back in the hotel room. I'm going to be watching the USAC National Midget Series tonight for sure. Hopefully got your dirt draft in. USAC National Midget Series is on Dirt Draft, and one of the cool things is we reached out to them. They put the Little 500 on Dirt Draft, too. So if you go to dirtdraft.com, if you're not familiar with that, don't let the name Dirt Draft throw you because it's a pavement race. It's fantasy racing. So it's fantasy dirt track racing or fantasy short track racing that takes place, and you basically you have $100,000 to spend, and you pick 5 drivers. That's your team, and how they finish, it gives you points towards the Dirt Draft, and you earn points playing Dirt Draft, and then you can spend those points in the store. So it's not a cash payout, but you can get T-shirts and stickers and tickets to events and, subscriptions to racing and all kinds of cool things in the store. You can check it out, dirtdraft.com. But the Little 500 is on there. And this is a secret between you and I, they are not familiar with a whole lot of pavement racers. So what they did is they looked at qualifying yesterday, and that's how they set the values of the drivers that are in the Little 500 for tomorrow. So there are some drivers like Eric Gordon that's down. He qualified 21st quick yesterday, so his value is not that high. I'm just sharing that little secret with you. So keep your eye on him. It's a dirt draft. You want to check it out? Fantasy racing. It's a lot of fun. We all play it. I got a pretty good team pick, though. I'm not going to lie. I think it's good. I'm going to whip all your heinies. So maybe you shouldn't play because you're just going to lose to me anyway. Probably not. I actually suck at it, I'll be honest. Joe Ligori's tuned in watching. Usually see him out ripping around the racetrack. But yeah, back to the car. I got distracted there. Back to the car count. 37 cars here this year. And normally a lot higher. There's a couple cars. Chris Wyndham obviously not here. Justin Grant. It's good to see Jerry Coons Jr. back. He was off last year. He is back. He's qualified into the top 15. Actually, we'll start outside row number 5. But a couple of those guys. Jimmy McCune is not here with us this year. Shane Cottle is not with us here this year. And Shane, I was told that his his son he's in the military, and he got to come home to visit this weekend. And Shane's not going to get seen for like a year or something like that. So he's visiting with his son, which I totally get that. And family first, I always say that. But, so there's a couple drivers just not able to make it because of the schedule change, and then with COVID, and a couple of the Florida guys opted not to come up simply because of the COVID thing, and they weren't sure how it would work out. But we're on, I think the track is 50% capacity. So yesterday there were a couple tickets still available, but they're encouraging people to stay apart from each other, and everybody is. It's cool to look out in the stands, and everybody's kind of separated, and there's generally not a huge crowd here on this bump day. But tomorrow, for the most part, Little 500, you see standing room only. It will not be standing room only this year. It'll be 50% capacity, but I encourage you, get your tickets for next year and come out and visit this. This is one of those events. If you come to it once, you want to come to it for the rest of your life. There's no doubt about it. Alex Guglielmucci tuned in, watching. Thank you so much for joining us. Gary Schuler. I saw your brother today, Gary. I didn't see your post yet. I'm having a rough time bringing it up on my phone. There it is. I love those pictures. I'm going to get down there and go fishing with you one of these days. But yeah, I saw your brother out in the pit area. Jeremy Crow, hi. How are you doing? Thanks for joining us. So Troy DeCare asking what it takes to get in right now. So the bump spot has been moved up to a 48.192. So 48.192, so an average lap time of about 12 seconds flat is what it takes to get into the field at this point. Is that right? Let me look at that again. Yeah, right around there, 12.048. So that's what it takes to get into the field. Sun shining on us. We had bright sunshine yesterday, so that makes the track a little bit slippery. It did speed up, and that was the thing that Tyler Rohrig, sitting in the middle of the row, felt like he had a little better car maybe than the number 4 car of Cody Swanson. Swanson earning the pole again, but based on the timing when they came out, Swanson caught a little bit of cloud cover. Like we had those fluffy clouds moving through and a little bit of cloud cover, and they feel like that was enough to make a difference yesterday in qualifying, which is absolutely incredible when you think about it. Here we go. Number 55. I told you he was going to be out here. He just got bumped from the field. This is Tommy Nichols coming out into the qualifying area. Tampa, Florida racer. Tommy Nichols Enterprises. Wilo USA has made 3 starts in Little 500. All those happening back in the 90s. And so far has not been able to complete a Little 500. And that's one of the deals. You got to have everything go your way. And Eric Gordon, in the interview yesterday, talked about it. He said you need a total package. When he means a total package, he means you need some luck. You need your car to last 500 laps. And Nichols, the 3 starts he made, had 2 mechanical failures and then unfortunately got collected in an accident. So it's tough. But Nichols trying to make his 4th appearance in Little 500. And again, just got bumped from the field. So he is pushed off. Bring it around, one to go from the starter stand. This will be the warm-up lap for the number 55. He will be given 2 attempts, but only 1 time. So if he takes the checkered flag, that's it. He is done for the day. Either it works or it doesn't. So warm-up lap for the number 55 coming around is going to be a 12.235, 12.235. And he is officially on the clock and also officially loose in the apex of turn number 1 and 2. Looks a little better. Nope, there's that little bobble again. A little dump and weave out of the number 55 car. Goes 11.866. 11.866. That's pretty good, though. That's enough to get him up about the number 26 or 27 spot if he can maintain that average. They'll put lap number 2 into the books. This lap across 11.684, a tick quicker for Nichols. Nichols looking very good. And the number 55 kind of found his rhythm and settled down. The car still weaving around on him. So maybe not exactly what he's looking for handling-wise, but it's working. 11.750 for the 55, and he's going to ride this one out. That's good enough to get him up in the field and away from a bump spot with only 3 cars out looking in after this. The checkered flag comes out. 11.811. 11.811 for Tommy Nichols on that last lap around. His best lap was 11.684, so we'll average those out. And actually, not average them out. We'll combine the 4 laps together and see where that settles him in. So he will now move into the number 28 spots. So 28 spots. Let me put the 55. I'm making notes on a piece of paper here. So he moves into 28th quick, and that will bump out the number 53 car, Justin Harper. So Harper is now out looking in. So Harper into number 51 or 53 rather, has to come out and try to requalify into the field. So Sherry and Tony Harper own number 53. He's out of Denver, Indiana for Justin. Yesterday qualified in with the 48.192, an average lap of 12.048. So basically what it is, it moved our bump spot. Now you have to average about 11.9 lap time of 47.965 is the bump spot. And Rob Kiesling is on the bump. So Rob Kiesling in the number 95, normally piloted by Shane Cottle, is now out looking in. Or not out looking in. He is in, but he is on the bump. That's what I'm trying to say. Troy DeCare says the little 500 is a young man's game. I would argue that Kenny Schrader says that's not necessarily the case. Schrader, during his interview today, said that he's run 3 little 500 so far. This will be his 4th start in little 500. He finished inside the top 10 twice and had mechanical issues once. So he said, yeah, we were just kind of out there, kind of biding our time, being good, and finished top 10 both times he was able to finish the race before mechanical difficulties. And Kenny Schrader is not a spring chicken, and he will tell you that. So I don't know if it's a young man's game or not. Jeff Bloom's here. Jeff Bloom will be making his 42nd start in the little 500. He had 35 consecutive little 500 starts. He was Rookie of the Year, I think back in the 70s, like 71, 70, 71. But Jeff Bloom has qualified into the little 500 in the number 20 spot, or was 20th. He's now bumped down to 22nd, I believe, for Jeff Bloom. So the number 26 car, so the Bangor, Michigan racer, not a young man, also in the field. So not too shabby. These are not Silver Crown cars. Dave Williams asking about Silver Crowns. These are non-wing sprint cars, so they are not Silver Crown. Silver Crown cars, you're correct, are 360 cubic inch power plants, and I think they're cast iron as well. These are not Silver Crown. This is non-wing sprint cars, and they're all aluminum motors, and there's everything from 410s to V6s. There's 3 V6 cars in the field that I'm aware of. The number 4 of Cody Swanson, the number 20 of Shane Hollingsworth, and the 77 of Eric Gordon are all 6 cylinders. V6s were all the rage back in the 90s and early 2000s. They actually had a V6 or 2 that was reverse rotation because they felt that the reverse rotation engines would load the left side tires a little better for cornering. I think that was disproven. But anyhow, the 6 cylinders make a massive amount of torque, and you don't need a lot of horsepower at this track. You need torque because the straightaways are so short. So you got to get them through the corner, get back on the gas quickly as possible, and leap onto the front straightaway before you slam on the brakes and go into the next corner. So 6 cylinders work well. The other benefit of the 6-cylinder is gas mileage, fuel mileage. So the little 500, it's a 500-lap race, and you're required to make a pit stop before lap 250 and a pit stop after lap 250. So 2 mandatory pit stops have to happen during the little 500. The 6 cylinders can run an entire 250 laps on a single fuel up. So they technically wouldn't have to pit until the halfway point. So it gives them a lot of flexibility when the caution flag comes out if they want to pit or not. If they're in a good situation to pit and not lose more than a lap, because you're going to lose a lap whenever you pit. That's just the way it is at a minimum. But if it gives them good flexibility to pit whenever they want to or whenever it works out well strategy-wise with the 6 cylinders, that's the big benefit to run the 6s. But it's interesting. So you'll see green flag pit stops. They'll come to the infield. They'll take tires. They'll take fuel. And then they get a push truck behind them. They get shoved off right into traffic. And Eric Gordon talked about that yesterday in his interview as well. He said that a lot of times you're racing the push trucks as much as you are the other competitors on track because the push trucks have to come out onto the track. So they stay below the white line in both the turns, turn 1 and 2 or turn 3 and 4, but they can push off at both ends of the racetrack. So it's craziness. Like if you've never seen it, get ready. And the other thing I encourage people to do as well, we do our best we can announcing the race and filming the race and everything else, but get the Race Monitor app onto your phone or onto your tablet or onto your laptop and watch timing and scoring because it is insanity on the racetrack. A lot of times you'll have first, second, third, and fourth all running together, but they're all on different laps and in a different order. The guy that's in fourth might be running up in the first place on the track, it looks like, but he's actually 3 laps down. It's just, yeah, it's awesome. Absolutely incredible. So Joe Liguori says he'll be attending this race next year, working on getting everything needed to run the race properly. That's awesome. No diesel motors that I'm aware of, Brett. So you can run aluminum engines in Silver Crown. I wasn't aware of that. And Jeff Claxton, if you're a Claxton of the Claxton family, and I think you are, then you would definitely know. Or you just might have an awesome last name. That could go either way. Jake, I just scrolled back. Thank you for the comment there. And Shane Butler, we'll try to catch up. Tomorrow's going to be a little bit different just because it's race day. The gates don't open until 3, and I know some of the crews are going to be here. We'll be tomorrow our focus on interviews. I kind of want to do a segment down in the infield for the fuel fill-ups just to show you the fuel. It's all gravity-fed and fuel dumps, and I can't remember the volume of fuel that they can put into a race car, but it's in a very short period of time, and we're going to try to do some stuff like that. So, yeah. Tony Stewart would win it. Tony Stewart was Rookie of the Year here during the Little 500. He ran it 3 years ago. Tony Stewart was here and got Rookie of the Year honors. Stewart loves this race. And actually, the Tony Stewart Foundation is here represented at this race. They're down, I can see their tent from here. And the Tony Stewart Foundation, they also sponsor one of the race cars that's out here. So still involved with the Little 500. An electric motor. Oddly enough, it's funny you bring that up, because I had that conversation with not too often long ago with Casey Schumann. And Casey Schumann, it's been 5-6 years ago, tested an electric midget. They had an electric midget. And he said it was interesting because with an electric motor, the torque's always there. Like the torque curve is perfectly flat. It's there from the moment you hit the throttle till you let off. And so they had a rough time getting it tamed down. But, yeah. I don't know if electric motor's allowed or not. If it could go 500 laps, you better have a really quick charger down the infield for your pit stops. So anyhow, we're waiting on our next contestant. Out looking in now, Justin Harper, the number 53 car out of Denver, needs to requalify into the field. We also have not seen Nick Richards out here or Christian Kohler or somebody else. Ronald Werdermann. We'll find out when they show up. I'm going to throw a little tunage on you. I think we got some advertising for you to check out.
Racing's not a sport. Racing is a lifestyle. It's all night in the shop and long days on the road. You always push a little harder, and you refuse to lose. Protect yourself. Protect your passion. Pit Stop USA. Live like legends.
My name is Cole Bodine. I'm the driver of the Driven to Save Lives Class Marshall Racing 39 BC. I'm racing for Driven to Save Lives because it is more than just about winning. I never knew Brian on a personal level, but as I grew up in racing, I watched him race. Being able to work close with his friends and family, I've learned so much about him. And especially, going to the races, all you do is hear about him and how dominant he was on and off the track. That's definitely how I aspire to be. I haven't been with Driven to Save Lives very long. It's been incredible, especially at Chili Bowl. Seeing all the people come up to the registration booth. Half of them aren't even race fans and are new to racing, and to be the driver that they support is incredible. Brian saved 5 lives and healed countless others through organ and tissue donation.
If you want to be remembered, you got to do more than just win. You got to get them out of their seats. You got to give them the slide job, cushion pounding, no holds barred racing they paid to see. This is dirt track. That means pushing it to the edge and laying it all on the line. Yeah, you might wreck. We'll help you get back out there so they can watch you try it again and again. See, dirt track is a sport of the people, and only they decide if you're to be remembered. It's your job to take risks and make sure you're memorable. Pit Stop USA. Live like legends.
Be ready. This is Facebook-friendly music that you're listening to. I have 15 Facebook-friendly songs. And we're here for a while, and we're waiting on contestants to come out here with the cars. This is a good Facebook Live put on in the background, so whenever action happens, you can hear it. But you're going to hear these songs a number of times before the day is over. But thanks for joining us here on Flow Racing on the Flow Sports app or on Anderson Speedway's social media. I'm sure we got it shared out there as well. And take the opportunity to follow along with Anderson Speedway on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. They do a great job. They have a lot of great events out here. Not just the Little 500. They got some great weekly racing action. They also have a number of touring series that come through and great shows. The Red Bud happens here at Anderson Speedway, and you can check out their complete schedule online, andersonspeedway.com. They also have the history of the Little 500. So if you go to andersonspeedway.com, at the top of the page, it says Little 500. It'll give you a bunch of links under that. Don't click that. Just click Little 500. It'll take you to a Little 500 page that has all the history of the Little 500. It has driver records up there for every driver that's ever run the Little 500. It has the race results, qualifying, all kinds of historical stuff. So it's a very, very good resource if you're into the Little 500 or maybe trying to teach yourself a little something about the Little 500. That's at andersonspeedway.com right here, Anderson, Indiana. Also, if you're coming out, they have camping on property. So if you're making your plans for next year, I'm going to give you a little tidbit of advice. They have camping on property, which is awesome. But right out the road, it's only just about maybe 5-10 minutes from here, is Mounds State Park. And those of you that know me personally know I do a lot of camping. I love camping. And Mounds State Park is one of the nicest state parks I've ever stayed in my entire life. And you can make your reservations. I think they take reservations 3 months ahead of time, but make a reservation at Mounds State Park. Gives you showers, electrical hookups, everything else at an absolutely beautiful setting just out the road here from Anderson Speedway. So that's my recommendation if you want to come up here and camp. If you want to stay in a hotel, there's lots of good hotels in town and things to see and do. There's a hot dog place that I can't remember the name of. It has slaw dogs. It has horseradish in their coleslaw, which is the greatest thing ever, and they are so good. So make sure you hit that as well. The Tin Plates is a big sponsor of racing action out here, and the Tin Plate is where we go for dinner almost every night after our Little 500 experience. So check that out while you're in town and pay less. You can get your groceries while you're out here and all kinds of cool stuff. Anderson, Indiana is a great place to be. Right off the interstate, too. Easy to get to. So make your plans for next year. If you can't make it out, you can always watch it on Flow Racing, as I'm sure we'll be back in 2021 as well for the 73rd running of the Payless Little 500. But this year, it's all about this race, and we're on bump day. We got a lot of waiting taking place. We know Justin Harper is going to try to qualify in. Christian Kohler, they're working on his car down the pit area. Hopefully, we'll get that number 10 car out. We also have Nick Richards, who is in a 2P, a 12P, or a 12. We're not exactly sure what number he'll have on when it comes out here, but he should be trying to qualify in. Ronald Werdermann, behind the wheel, the number 32 Cincinnati, Ohio racer. And then I fully expect Jacob Wilson to come out and take a shot at that number 16 spot since he has been moved to the outside of a row in his qualifying. Top 15 cars already locked in and firm in their starting spot. Cody Swanson, the number 4 car, last year's winner. Three-time winner, the Little 500, starts on the inside. He rolls from the pole. Tyler Rohrig, the number 56, will be to the middle. Kyle Hamilton, the number 5, to the outside. For the record, for comparison, Cody Swanson qualified with an average lap time of 11.186, a combined 4 laps of 44.745. Tyler Rohrig was second with an average lap time of 11.239. Kyle Hamilton rounds out that front row, the number 5 car. He averaged an 11.254, so they're all right there together. Row number 2 is Dakota Armstrong, the 7-8 car on the inside. Brian Gerster, the 27 to the middle, and Chris Neuenschwander, the number 12 to the outside of that second row. Row number 3 comprised of Bobby Santos, the 3rd, the 22A on the inside. In the middle is Billy Weiss in the number 12, and Mickey Kempkins, the number 68, sitting to the outside on that row number 3. Row number 4 is Caleb Armstrong in the 7C. Derek Bishak in the 31, sitting to the middle to the outside. Shane Butler, the number 18. Aaron Pierce rolls off on the inside of row number 5 to the middle row number 5. John Inman in the 59, and Jerry Coons Jr. 64 sits to the outside. If it's throwing you off, if you just tuned into this Facebook Live and you're like, why is he talking about inside, middle, and outside? It's because we start 3 wide, 11 rows deep, 500 laps of distance for Little 500 here on this high-banked quarter mile. And to answer that question, that was apparently a question came up, and Keith, I saw your answer, and you're correct. If you get bumped twice, you're done. You only get to put in 1 qualifying time today. So if you get bumped and you qualify back in, let's say you qualify back in 33rd and somebody comes out and bumps you again, you cannot attempt to re-qualify in again a second time. So you only get to turn in one lap time or one combined 4 laps today. So 2 attempts. An attempt is if you take the green flag. A checkered flag is your one for the day. So if you take the green flag, you put in 3 laps and then drop to the infield. That counts as an attempt but does not count as your qualifying time. So that's kind of how that works out. Also, got a little tweet thrown at me, and I wanted to verify before I got out on it just to make sure you were right, and you are correct. So, I misunderstood that, and I apologize because now for 3 or 4 years that I've been announcing this thing for the broadcast, I've been, strewing misinformation apparently. But the pit stop rules are, it's 1 pit stop before lap 251, actually. Keith Krebs filled me in on this. It's actually before lap 251. So 1 pit stop has to happen before lap 251. The second pit stop can happen anytime. So you're right. They can both be before lap 251, not 250, before lap 251. So it doesn't have to be after lap 250, and I apologize. I've been under the understanding that it was 1 before and 1 after for a number of years, and you're the first person to correct me, so thank you for that. Which brings up an important, since we're just sitting here shooting poo, if at any time during a broadcast you hear me mispronounce somebody's name, hometown, or something of that nature, and you know with 100% accuracy that I am incorrect, feel free to tweet at me at Chet Christner and let me know. Or if you have information, you have some cool information you want to let me know, that's totally cool too. At Chet Christner on Twitter, that's where I do all my racing communication. But feel free to correct me. I'm all right with that. I'm okay. But make sure you know, if you think, but you're not 100% positive yourself, don't correct me. Because I might be right, and you're wrong. And then you're going to have me wrong with you, and that's, birds of a feather, it's all cool and stuff, but I don't want to do it the wrong way, so you know what I'm saying. But Keith was on top of his game, and he is 100% correct, so thank you for that, Keith. I appreciate it. Okay, so I just got an updated list here on our final qualifying spots. So out looking in is Justin Harper in the 53. Bobby Karmasarski in the number 81 is not qualified in. And they have Dalton Armstrong in the 12P, but I don't believe that's Dalton. I think it's Nick Richards. So Nick Richards is not qualified in either, so I'm not sure why they have Dalton on the sheets. And that's going to come up on timing and scoring, but I could have swore I was told it was Nick Richards. But it's the 12 car. It's still the 12P or the 2P or the 12. And then Christian Kohler is not in either. He is not on my list. South Bend, Indiana racer came in today and again had mechanical difficulty earlier today, and they were working on that car down in the pit area. I saw it out. And actually, they didn't even make it back to their pit area. They had it out in the middle of the road and had it jacked up out there trying to get it back to the pit. So I don't know exactly what happened with that race car, but it wasn't good. And hopefully not detrimental. As I see the officials walking back towards their spots, so we're getting another contestant coming out here for qualifying. So we'll see who pops up over the hill. Again, thanks so much for joining us. Hope you're having a good time. We are. It's bump day. Elbows up, Billy tuned in, listening on his way back to work. Yeah, well, okay, so Brad says Tyler Rohrig is the dark horse. And, and he rolls into this. Here's the thing, though. So whenever the dirt draft, whenever they add the little 500 dirt draft, they went based off of the qualifying times, and Tyler's expensive on the dirt draft, but I agree with you. He is a little bit of a dark horse. But he's expensive on the dirt draft, so if you can afford him and work out a lineup that works for you, that's awesome. I couldn't afford him. I couldn't get him on my dirt draft. But, yeah, he comes into this one. Tyler Rohrig's going to start on the middle of that front row and rolls into this event hot off of 3 wins here at Anderson Speedway in a non-wing sprint car. So he has definitely been hot to trot. And here comes the number 53. This is Justin Harper. Harper, a rookie runner out here at the Little 500. Was qualified in, now has been bumped. He is currently 34th quick in time. We're only taking the top 33. So he has to attempt to re-qualify himself into one of these final starting spots. So they're going to brush the dirt off the tires and stuff before they push him down here. He's got plenty of time to make it down here and make his qualifying run. So, again, we talked about this earlier on. I'll try to explain it a little bit more clear. They get 2 attempts at qualifying today, but can only turn in 1 time. So they come out, they get 1 to go from the starter stand. The next lap around, they take the green flag. It's 4 combined laps. But if they pull to the infield before they complete the 4 laps, before they take the checkered flag, that counts as an attempt. As long as they took the green flag, it counts as an attempt. Something we saw yesterday is they'll come out, they'll get 1 to go from the starter stand, rip around the racetrack, see how the car feels, and then pull the infield before they take the green flag. That does not count as an attempt. So as long as they pull in, like coming out turn number 4, just crank it down into the infield and don't cross the stripe and take the green flag, it does not count as an attempt. It's when they take the green flag, it begins an attempt. So yesterday they were allowed 3 attempts. Today they're only allowed 2 attempts. So Harper coming out here going to attempt to requalify back into the field. So far, I'm not getting any communication from down the pit area, so no action from the Jacob Wilson camp or the Wilson Brother Racing. So they may just kind of bide their time and go with whatever they got. Damon tuned in from up in Nampa, Idaho. Thank you for joining us. Idaho, we just broadcast a race from out there not too long ago, I believe, in Boise, just outside of Boise. Had one on Flow Racing. You can go back and watch it in the on-demand with the Flow Sports app. Hey, speaking of Flow Sports, a lot of people don't realize this. I talked about it a little bit yesterday. Whenever you get, it's $150 a year for Flow Racing, but it's actually not for Flow Racing. It's for Flow Sports. So everything that's on Flow Sports, like Penn State Wrestling, NCAA Wrestling, that's on there. You can watch everything on Flow Sports. I keep looking back at you, Matt, because I'm looking to see what you got up on the screen there. Yeah, so everything on the Flow Sports app, which is wrestling, rodeo. They have some rodeo taking place now, too, under this COVID thing. But it's also all the racing. It's all the on-demand. It's all the extra interviews and everything else that get dumped up there. Not everything goes to social media, so everything's up on the app. They like to work from the app. You can download an app on a Roku, Fire Stick, your tablet, your phone, your laptop, you name it. And there's a whole bunch of content that is not put out there. And somebody yesterday said, you should show some of the footage from the previous Little 500s. Well, guess what? All the Little 500s or previous Little 500s, at least 3 of them, 2 or 3 of them, are already up there. You can watch them in their entirety. So you can watch 2019, 2018, 2017, I think is up there. So here we go. Little push for the number 53. Justin Harper going to attempt to qualify back into the field. He was in and was bumped as he fires off. Down into the corner, and here we go. 1 to go from the starter stand. It's the warm-up lap for the number 53 car. Good line down on the bottom of the racetrack. Turn number 1 and 2. Tight to the wall, down the back, shooting low down at turn number 3 and 4. Green flag comes out, and this will count as at least an attempt. Perhaps his qualifying time, 12.136 on the warm-up lap. He needs to pick up the pace. He's going to get back into the field. We'll see what he's got in store for us here. First lap goes into the books, 12.043. That's going to be good enough to make it into the field. Just needs to continue on that same little adventure for the number 53 car. Lap number 2 coming out turn number 4 and across. Going to record a 11.829. Getting a little heat in the skins, just starting to come to life. He's down the back straightaway he goes. Lap number 3, white flag coming out. If he takes the checkered flag, this will be his qualifying run. And 11.773, quicker every turn of the wheel for the number 53 car. This is a stellar run. Under a lot of pressure for the number 53 of Justin Harper, and he's going to make the most of it. Checkered flag comes out, and this one's going to be a done deal. 11.579. Look at that. Every time he turned a lap, he got quicker and quicker and quicker. And that is phenomenal. If you imagine the pressure coming out here trying to qualify into the field, you know this is it. It's your one shot at getting the job done. Unbelievable. So Justin Harper, they will combine his lap times. So 47.224 combined lap time, 47.224, and that will be good enough to put him into the number 31 spots. And that is going to bump Kiesling out. So I lost my pen. Where did my pen go? There it is. So Harper in the 53 car. So 47.224. So Kiesling is now bumped out. The number 95 car. We should see him come back out here and attempt to requalify back into the field. And again, normally Shane Connell behind the wheel of this, but Rob Kiesling, the car owner, Kiesling's Inc. Racing, Jeans Root Beer sponsors on the number 95. But Rob taking over driving duties this weekend. And here's the number 12 car. And this is the one they have listed as Dalton Armstrong, but I don't believe it's Dalton Armstrong. If I'm not mistaken, they said it was Nick Richards out of Anderson, Indiana behind the wheel. So we'll find out. So here we go. I'm going to stick with Nick Richards because that was what I was told earlier on. This is a backup car for Chris Neuenschwander. Has the same look as Neuenschwander's ride, which is a little bit confusing and will be confusing for us tomorrow. Big old yellow hood on this one all the way down to the nose of this thing. Want to go from a starter stand, take it around and see what we've got in store. Fitzwater's now your bump time, 11.954 average lap time is what we're looking for. Spridge is helping us out there. Warm-up lap going to be a 12.196. He needs to crank it up just a little bit. Or Dalton Armstrong, maybe. I don't know. Maybe we should stick with Dalton Armstrong. He's coming up on timing and scoring with that 11.849, 11.849 on lap number 1 for the number 12 car of either Dalton or Nick. 11.846, that second lap around. That's going to be good enough to make it into the field. Not by a whole lot, but he should be able to get in there at least a couple spots out. Or a couple spots safe from the bump, I should say. White flag comes out, 11.786, a little better lap time, and he's off the pace. He's going to pull down the infield. That'll be attempt number 1. So will not finish that one off. So he'll get a second attempt at it. It looks like he's going to take her pit side for a little tweaking on the unit before he comes out and gives her another shot. So the 12 car of either Dalton or Nick will be back out here with us again in just a pinch. So Doug Fitzwater, the number 14 car, is on the bump. He is currently 33rd quick on the field with an average lap time of 11.954. Ivan Tracy tuned in from out in Waco, Nebraska. Thank you for joining us on the broadcast. So I was getting some information or clarifying some information. That is Dalton Armstrong. So Dalton Armstrong is in the 12P car, so not Nick, as we were told earlier on. So Dalton Armstrong in there, and that Dalton, if you're not familiar, the driver in the 12P car, former Red Bud 400 winner here at Anderson. But Dakota's brother, and I think maybe cousins with Caleb, with the Armstrongs. Damon asked, Meridian Speedway is actually where we broadcast. Flow Racing was out there for the, I can't remember the name of the race. I think we're talking about, if we're talking about Idaho, which is right outside of Boise, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember what that was. Sorry, we got caught up in like 3 different conversations up here. One of the drawbacks to Bump Day, if you're trying to do a broadcast on Facebook Live, is there's so many people that you want to visit with and talk to that are rolling on through, so you end up with all these conversations going on because there's not a lot happening out on the racetrack. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on the drivers, but not so much whenever you're in our role. Tomorrow's when the action really takes off. 500 laps of nonstop action happening right here at Anderson Speedway. There are a couple of tickets still available, so you can walk up to the gate and go up and ask, and they are limited, though. Might want to call before you get here. But 50% capacity happening tomorrow, and then, 8 o'clock start time will be green flag. A lot of pre-race ceremonies taking place. Not a lot. It's toned down this year because of COVID and everything else, but there is some really nice pre-race ceremonies take place for the Little 500. 72nd running of this race here at the famed Anderson Speedway in Anderson, Indiana. Rolling down through here. Let me see. Jason Zimmerman tuned in from Rockford, Illinois. Thanks for joining us. Sebring, Florida. Bill Layton down in the Sunshine States. The answer to David asking how many cars race at a time is 33 cars start the Little 500. Let me turn the music down just a little bit. 33 cars start the Little 500. We start with 3 wide, 11 rows deep. So it is the Hornet's Nest cut loose out of turn number 4 on this. And I do have a great story about that Levi Jones told me, and I'll share it with you sometimes we meet in person. Just ask me. So this is actually Bump Day. So David asked about Bump Day. We qualified yesterday. During qualifying, we locked the top 15 cars are firmly implanted into tomorrow's feature event, Little 500. Positions 16 through 33 are still technically up for grabs. So the way Bump Day works is if you're out looking in, you can actually attempt to qualify today and bump somebody else out of the starting lineup for tomorrow's race. If you're in, you may be bumped out and have to attempt to requalify your way back in, which is what we're seeing now with those lower positions. So we're waiting. The number 14, Doug Fitzwater, is on the bump spot. He is in. He's your 33rd starter as it sits now. Rob Kiesling was just bumped out of the starting lineup. He gets out, come out here and take one attempt and try to get himself back in. It looks like the official's moving around. We might have one coming towards us here. So that's what Bump Day is all about. It's about setting this field or setting the remainder of the field. If you are the fastest qualifier today, then you will get a $500 bonus. So that's pretty handy as well. So that's what we're waiting to see what happens here. Tail of the field. As here comes the number 22 car. And I was wondering about this. I had this conversation earlier on today. This is Johnny Gilbertson coming out onto the racetrack, and Gilbertson's already qualified into the field. Gilbertson apparently has given up his qualifying time from yesterday. So he was now down to the number 31st starting spot, so he should be about 30 seconds. So he's bumped down to the 32nd starting spot, so he is close to the bottom. But Gilbertson was already waffling earlier on today about coming out and attempting to qualify again to improve his starting position. So he has not been bumped from the field, but he now is no longer in because he gave up his qualifying time from yesterday. So he effectively bumped himself in an attempt to requalify. So he withdrew his time from yesterday, and now he is going to attempt to requalify and get a better starting spot. So he has technically not been bumped from the field. It was a self-bump. And I mean that in a good Christian way. Here we go. Green flag up in the air. One to go from starter stand. Warm-up lap around the old quarter mile. Down into turn number 3 and 4. Green flag comes out. And Gilbertson, ooh, that thing almost squirreled up there. Coming out turn number 4. He got a lot of throttle and not a lot of traction for the number 22 car. So he'll sail that baby down into the turn number 3 and 4 and onto the front chute. And Johnny Gilbertson, Dover, Florida racer, tight to the wall. Lap number 1 is going to be 11.673, 11.673. That's a pretty healthy first lap. And again, we see him improve every time around to get a little heat in the tires. And man, he is drifting that thing out of the corner. Actually got a little smoke off that right rear, 11.697. And Gilbertson's running it way loose in his qualifying run. So he's got to stick with it here, I believe. He'll have 2 attempts. White flag is out, 11.708, and he's going to roll with it. Down the back straightaway, he's on the throttle, smoking that right rear tire. Down into turn number 3 and 4 and onto the front chute, and here we go. Gilbertson's across with 11.727, so he will improve from that number 32 qualified spot he had. So it pays off, but my goodness gracious, talk about putting yourself under some pressure. Johnny Gilbertson, the 22 car, should get a combined time here and be able to bump up through the field. So now moves up into about the number 24 spot for Johnny Gilbertson. So the 22 car gets himself out of the 32nd starting spot. That puts Tommy Nichols, the number 55 car, down into that position. And Nichols has already had to requalify himself back into the field, so he will not. Oh, no, I'm lying to you. No, I'm not lying to you. So he will not get another attempt if he does get bumped from the field. Here comes the number 12 back out. Dalton Armstrong behind the wheel of the number 12 P cars, we've now learned. Pro strip, number 12P, Dalton. Was out once, aborted takeoff. So now needs to turn in 4 good laps. One to go from the starter stand for the number 12. A lot of throttle action down the back straightaway. It's that little dip right past the Anderson Speedway sign right there. There's a crease in the concrete, or crease in the pavement, I should say. And they'll spin the tires there more often than not. Here comes the green flags. First lap at 11.457. Very good run. Dalton Armstrong, I'm telling you, is going up towards the top. Boy, if he could weasel into the number 16 position, bump him down just a few more, that'd be really safe. And also a nice little bonus, 11.526 for the number 12P car. So 11.4 the first lap, 11.5 the second lap. Here comes lap number 3 as he's way up high. Going to grab some gravity off the banking. Coming out turn number 4, brings it across, 11.615. Slowed him up. So he'll correct for that. Looks like this one's going into the books here. It has to go into the books. His second attempt for the number 12 Pete car. Checker flag comes out, 11.604 for Dakota Armstrong. Or Dalton Armstrong, rather. So 46.228. And that will put him in about the 19th starting spots. So 46.228, the qualifying time for Dalton Armstrong. So now the number 14 of Fitzwater is bumped out. And Tommy Nichols in the number 55 is on the bump with a 47.111. So Dalton Armstrong coming in there, going 19th quick on the field. And that, again, Tommy Nichols now on the bump for the number 55 car. Well, now wait a minute. I was going for correction on that. It's trouble whenever you're taking notes over yourself. Justin Harper, I forgot about him, a 47.224. He is on the bump spot. So he had qualified himself today. So he turned in his time. He's a 47.224. He is actually 33rd quick on the field. My apologies for that. So 33rd quick on the field. Justin Harper, 47.224, is on the bump, but he already qualified. He turned in a time today, so if he is bumped out, he cannot qualify back in. So Harper is in danger with 47.224 and still plenty of time left for qualifying and a number of cars yet to qualify, or a couple cars yet to take a stab at it. You got to remember, we still have the number 10 car sitting down there somewhere. So more questions coming up here. The V6s, there's 3 V6s in the field. Your pole setter, the number 4, Cody Swanson, the number 20 is Shane Hollingsworth, and the 77, Eric Gordon, are all V6s that are out here. That was one of the questions I saw on the Facebook. The second question was about Kenny Schrader. Schrader is qualified into the field. He's already into the field, and to my knowledge, talking to him today, they had no intention of coming out here and re-qualifying for a better starting spot because they felt good with where they were. So he is solid. He will not be bumped out of the field today. So they're back working on a race car. Kenny is here at the racetrack. Staying in the campground, as a matter of fact. They brought the camper up, and they're all hunkered down in the campground, having a good time. Zach Miller checking in from Rochester, New York, joining us. Thank you so much. So I'll scroll down through here and see if I can find anything else that I might be able to help you out or something you can help me out with. So again, on the bump spot, Justin Harper, a 47.224, combined 4 laps, and he will not be able to re-qualify if he is bumped from the field for the number 53 car. Bridge, fill me in with more information there. Thank you, Kirk. I appreciate that. The average lap time now for that bump spot we're talking about to make it into the field, an 11.806, 11.806. And here comes the number 81 car. Bobby Komisarski out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Michael Blake owned number 81. Aero C Hydraulics sponsors on the number 81 car. So out looking in for Bobby. So get him pushed off, and he'll be ready to bring it around here, see what he has in store. Again, 2 attempts. This is his first time coming out onto the racetrack. So if he takes the green flag, it will count as an attempt. We'll see if he's going to turn it in, working the wheel back and forth. Not really coming around here to the one to go from the starter stand. This could be an engine heat thing. So he could get the one to go and then pull back to the infield before he takes the green flag. It will not count as an attempt. Not really under the whip. Out of turn number 2 and down to back straightaway, although well, he's going to take the green flags. This will be attempt number 1 for the number 81 car, and Bobby Komisarski is officially on the clock. So take her down the back chute. Aero C Hydraulics, number 81 car, works through the corner, handles well. 12.625, not good enough to make it into the field. I don't think he's going to finish this one off. But he will put in a 2 or 3 laps, is what we're going to call it, for the number 81 car. As he rolls out turn number 4, I'm sure he's spotter talking to him. Kind of scrubbing the tires and a little heat in the engines. He shuts her down. He'll bring it to the infield, get himself stacked up to come back out here for qualifying attempt number 2. 12.377 that second lap around, but he wasn't really pushing the car hard. You could hear that. Johnny Wingo. You can find him. Go to Anderson Speedway asking about the rules for Little 500. Actually, everything's under that Little 500 tab, and you can find out if you're allowed to do that or not. That'd be awesome if you could make that happen. Not sure if it's allowed or not. But yeah, go to AndersonSpeedway.com, click on Little 500. There's information up there for drivers, fans, historians, and everyone. Kirk Spridgen has a notebook filled with history of the Little 500. He and Richie Murray. It's not a lot of downtime for the 81 car. It looks like they're going to take him back to the pit. He wants to go back to the pit with the number 81, so maybe another change to it. Bring him out here again, so I'll throw some more tunage your way, and I'm going to update my database here real quick. Shout out Bill Simmons, tuned in, watching from Winchester, Indiana, which is not the same as Winchester, Virginia, or Winchester, which is not too far from here. Wadsworth, Nevada in the house. Richard says, and hey, look who made it out here. The number 10 car. So he's going to make an attempt at it. Christian Kohler, the South Bend, Indiana racer, came here today, was not here with us yesterday, so coming in today, attempting to qualify into the field. And again, they had mechanical difficulty for the All Mobility Service.com number 10 car. Earlier today, they've been working on it hard down in the pit area. Got his sticker tires on. He's trying to push off, and there he'll finally light off for the number 10. So Christian Kohler, not sure what we'll see out of him, if he'll make this an attempt or if it's just more of an engine heat and shakedown for the number 10 car. We're going to find out. One to go from a starter stand. 11.806 average lap time, and yet he's just kind of cruising around the racetrack for the number 10. Kohler, one of those racers that runs both pavement and dirt sprint cars. And I think his dad, Ron, made a number of Little 500 starts. He pulls back into the infield, and that's kind of what we suspected would happen, or I suspected would happen, is he'll go right back into the staging. So just getting a little heat into it, a little shakedown, make sure everything goes peachy keen. So that's where we are. So getting that bump spot, Justin Harper on the bump, the number 53 car, 11.806 average lap time. 47.224 is the number to beat if you want to get in. Fitzwater is out, Rob Kiesling the 95, and Bobby Komisarski in the 81. All out looking in. Well, and Christian Kohler, who was such a late entry, coming in here this morning, he's not on my list, even though he's sitting right in front of me. So another push off for him. We'll take it around here. Want to go from a starter stand. And again, he has not yet made an attempt for Kohler. It's Christian. Not a lot of hand movement in the wheel of that race car, and that's always a good thing to see. So he'll shut her down, bring her back into the infield. So again, that does not count as an attempt. He did not take the green flag. So he may do that a number of times just to get a little feel for things. So for those of you tuned in, they're going to push him backwards. So might be headed back down into the pits with it. So again, they had mechanical issues earlier on, been working on it all morning, came out here to make a qualifying attempt, and they may be taking him back into the pits. So he does have, we'll call it 45 minutes or so available to him yet to make a qualifying attempt. Shout out to Michael McIntyre up on the roof today. He does not have a hat on. Are you wearing your sunscreen, Michael? No. Sunscreen is for wussies. That's what he said. I can read his lips from here. Zach Trunkhill's out here with us. You can find him on Dirt Draft at Zach Trunkhill. Or is it Trunk? If you look for Trunk, you'll be able to find him. He's the guy you'll be in front of if you play Dirt Draft because he usually finishes towards the bottom of the... I'm sorry. So, yeah, the little 500's on Dirt Draft. If you like fantasy dirt track racing, you can also get in on the action. And Spridge is watching, no doubt, from out of Sweet Springs, Missouri, which is absolutely incredible little racetrack. And I described it yesterday, and I'll stick with it again today. It's like visiting your friend's house. That is such a neat little facility. Good people out there, but Sweet Springs Motorsports Complex hosting 2 nights of the USAC National Midget Series. And you can watch them on Flow Racing if you're not able to make it out there. But that's also on Dirt Draft, so you can set your Dirt Draft lineup for it. Which Tyler Courtney's just getting ridiculously expensive on Dirt Draft because he's been winning so much. But I'll let you know a little secret. I spent the money. I bought him tonight. I got Tyler Courtney on my Dirt Draft for the midgets. But there's all kinds of cool stuff up there. The All-Star Circuit of Champions. You can set your lineup for that as well. Coming up this weekend, they've got a race going on. All kinds of neat things to see and do on dirtdraft.com. Make sure you get up there and check it out. Fantasy racing is the most fun you can have with your clothes on. That was my tagline, not theirs. And if they, so yeah, we might not want to tell them that. Hey, look who's out here. There's a 07 kind of creeping around the infield. I told you he was talking about it. Nope, he's going back out into the pit area. So Wilson Brothers Racing, Mitch Smith Auto Sales, 07 is Jacob Wilson, the Crawfordsville, Indiana racer. Good interview with him today. You need to check that out on the Flow Sports app, but talk to him down in the pit area. Just a super nice guy. Him and the whole crew down there are awesome. But Jacob talked about it. They're qualified in. They're sitting pretty. They're 21st quick on the field, but that's the outside of a row. And he said, we'd really like to be inside. And the 07, they struggled yesterday. They actually had a right front shock that was intermittently locking up on them. So they couldn't figure out exactly what they were chasing, but their qualifying run yesterday was less than lustrous. And so they talked about requalifying again today because realistically the 07 car is plenty fast enough to maybe even sit on the front row, but you obviously can't get into that. But they could be 16th quick, which would put them inside row number 6. So Wilson just came out and almost looked like he was going to come out and make a qualifying attempt. They took him back into the pit area, and I believe just by him showing up in the infield means that he has given up his time from yesterday. That's purely speculation on my part. So here comes the number 14. So Fitzwater, technically their first car out looking in, was in the field for the number 14 car. He is now 34th quick, which 34th ain't good enough. We only take the top 33. So the 14 car coming around here and going to put her onto the clock. Doug Fitzwater owned number 14 out of Homewood, Alabama. If it's Doug Fitzwater, I think it is. And if it is the Doug Fitzwater, I think it is, he runs normally Outlaw 360 cars with USCS Sprint Car Series. But if it's not, then it's a guy with the same name. So he shuts it down, idles, just a little fire up to get a little heat in the power plants. So all cars after a qualifying attempt do have to go down into the pit area, and they all roll through tech. So after they leave the racing surface, they go directly to tech. They do not go back to the pits if they turn in a qualifying time. And I just got the official word. Jacob Wilson has withdrawn his time. So the Crawfordsville, Indiana racer has withdrawn his time. Jacob Wilson will attempt to requalify. So as of now, Wilson is not in the field. But he'll be back out to qualify, so there's a very good chance he could be. So technically, Doug Fitzwater, who is pushing off, He's trying to get himself back into the field as well. I'm not sure if he gets sucked back in with Wilson withdrawing his time or not. Regardless, here he goes. Want to go from starter stand for the number 14 car. Whoop. He's going to pull her back into the infield. So that was not an auspicious sign when you come out turn number 2 sideways on your warm-up lap. So the green flag is out, but he is not going to cross the stripe and take it. So that does not count as an attempt for the number 14 of Fitzwater. Jacob Wilson will get 2 attempts to qualify, and he's going for that number 16 spot. So he's got to be quicker than a 45.983 combined and an average lap time of like 11.5. So he's just getting pushed off and back to the infield. He'll let that thing sit there and idle. Wilson Brothers Racing, not racing since last year in DuQuoin. They picked up the win down in DuQuoin with the USAC Silver Crown Series, I believe it was, and has not raced since then. It's been exactly a year since they've touched a racetrack with the car. He said they always look forward to Little 500, but just have not had the time to race this year as much as they would like. So it's good to see them out here, the Wilson Brothers Racing, and they run wing sprint cars on dirt. They run non-wing sprint cars on dirt. They run wing sprint cars on pavement. They run non-wing sprint cars on pavement, and pretty much whatever makes them happy. I'm not sure what that is that kicks on out here in this building, but if it's the air condition, that thing sounds like it would power the earth. So here goes the 14 again. Fitzwater. Rolls out, takes the 1 to go. Watch him through turn number 1 and 2. Look pretty good. This will be the warm-up lap. If he takes the green flag, it'll count as an attempt, allowed 2 attempts, and he shuts her down, takes her back into the infield, will not make an attempt for the number 14. So stops down low. It's a good picture right there. Doug Fitzwater facing Jacob Wilson in the 07. It's like some kind of gunslinger face-off. My buddy Jason Rominger tuned in from out in Tucson, Arizona. Old Orange Shoes, how you doing? Haven't seen you in a coon's age. I don't know where coon's age came from, but I started saying that again. I know that's an old saying. Good grief. But anyhow, we'll see Jason later on this year out at a number of different facilities. As a matter of fact, Flow Racing is going to be out at Arizona Speedway for a number of big events, not only this fall, but next spring as well. Central Arizona Speedway and Canyon. Hopefully Canyon fires up again. I'm not sure. I know they shut down for COVID. So we'll find out. Bobby McLeod tuned in. Says Tanner Thorson for a midget win tonight. The old oil fire hot rod. Tanner's been running really well. He's expensive on Dirt Draft, too. Ron is his grandpa. Thank you for that, Keith. So that answers that question. It's not his dad, it was his grandfather, but Ron had made, I think it was 9 starts, if I'm not mistaken. Here comes the number 10 car back out with us again, too. Kyle Long checking in with us. Thank you for joining us here out of Warrensburg, Missouri. It's the number 10. Set to make a qualifying attempt. Christian Kohler, South Bend, Indiana racer, allmobilityservices.com, and it was his grandfather, Ron, that made 9 little 500 starts. So at least the 3rd generation racer behind the wheel of the number 10 car. So Christian fired off, brings it around. One to go from the starter stand for the number 10 car. Eases into the throttle. Love the big old slicks and the offset on these cars. It's so sexy. Nope, to the infield for the number 10. Welcome to bump day at the Little 500. He's going to bring her back up here, right directly back in, and get another push off and see what happens. Kohler coming back out to push off again. Oh, my goodness. Steve Swarmer's tuned in watching here on the old Flow Racing. We'll see Steve down Port Royal Speedway next week. I'll be down there on Monday. I got to hustle from here at the Little 500 down to Port Royal Speedway for their Labor Day Classic. I'll be announcing down there at the track for them. And then the Tuscarora 50 coming up Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Port Royal Speedway, the Speed Palace. If you're not able to make it down there, it's Fair Week, Juniata County Fair Week. If you're not able to make it there, you can watch it all on Flow Racing. Here comes the green flag for the number 10 car, Christian Kohler. Going on the clock. Fully committed this time out for the number 10s. He'll try to race his way into the field. And again, that bump spot sitting back here, Justin Harper, the number 53 car of 47.224 combined to make it into the field. And she's hoisting up that left front tire. Has got a good rotation on 11.939. 11.939 needs to be an average 11.806, I believe, to make it into the field as it sits. Second lap's going to be 11.747. He's right there. That's an 11.8 average. If my math is correct, which it rarely is, he needs to turn in 2 more good laps as the white flag comes out. This is lap number 3, and he's going to go 11.983. He got to be a big improvement on this lap around, or he's not going to make it either that or pull the infield and abort takeoff. And he's going to slow down into turn number 3 and 4, drop to the infield, and that is attempt number 1 for the number 10 car, Christian Kohler. And he saw it wasn't going to be good enough. He'll go right back into the qualifying line. So he gets 1 more attempt at it, 2 attempts today, as here comes Fitzwater out. Number 14 car. Homewood, Alabama racer, I think. Brings it out of turn number 4. 1 to go from the starter stand. We'll see what this warm-up lap is for the number 14. Carries a lot of speed down in turn number 1 and 2. Working that middle groove. As he lets out the throttle, he's going to bring her back into the infield. Will not make an attempt for the number 14. Kohler, when he pushes out here, if he takes the green flag, he has got to go for it. It's all or nothing. You talk about a massive amount of pressure on the driver behind the wheel of the number 10. You're looking at it. Fitzwater went right back into the qualifying line as well. Meanwhile, the 81, Bobby Komisarski, just rolled out into the infield. He's going to try to qualify in. And don't forget the 07 of Wilson has given up his qualifying time from yesterday. He's attempting to requalify. He was 21st quick on the field when he gave up his time. So less than 30 minutes remaining of this qualifying, this bump day qualifying for the Little 500 here at Anderson Speedway, Anderson, Indiana. And pushing off for the number 10 of Christian Kohler. 11.806 lap time. He can see the scoreboard when he comes down the front stretch, so he knows exactly where he is. Plus, he's got a spotter. Plus, he's got crew guys. And plus, he's got 1 to go from the starter stand. There's a lot of addition taking place there on that opening sentence. Here we come. Green flag comes out, and he is on the clock. This is it, all or nothing. He's got to stick with it. 12.348, his warm-up lap. He has got to hustle the number 10 car for all it's worth. He's going to make his way into the 72nd running of the Payless Little 500 here at Anderson Speedway. Lap number 1, 11.765. That's good enough. Needs 3 more. As he a little loose coming out turn number 2 and had to do an auto correction, steer to the right, and you see that smoke off the front tires. He got on the binders hard. He goes 11.958. He needs 2 good laps here. Down on the inside. Got her glued to the white line. Turn number 1 and 2. Pressure is on. Needs about 11.7 or 11.6 out of this lap to keep the average down for the number 10 car. Goes 11.982. It's not going to happen for him. He'd have to turn in almost a record lap, get his average low enough to make it into the field for the number 10. And again, he's on the binders, smokes that left front tire. Checkered flag comes out. 4th lap, 11.853, and he will not make it into the field for the number 10 car. Tough break for Christian Kohler in the number 10 after a hard morning. Not able to make it out here yesterday. Was not able to take part in qualifying day. Struggled mechanically this morning, fought with it, stayed with it, gave it his best effort, and unfortunately he will fall just a bit shy for the driver behind the wheel of the number 10 car, and that is how the Little 500 works. So combined time of 47.558. 47.558 is not good enough to make the field for the number 10. So having said that, he actually is, and listen to the track announcer, and I forgot about this fact, with the 0-7 withdrawing, Christian Kohler is actually on the bump. So technically he is 33rd, but the 14 car is going to see what he can do about that. Here we go. Fitzwater coming around. So again, with the 0-7 withdrawing, that does suck the number 10 car into that 33rd starting spot. And ooh, right back to the infield, he missed it! Oh, he couldn't make the corner down into it. He is stuck on the front straightaway just before the line. He is not taking the green flag. He does not want the green flag. But now it's going to be interesting to see what the officials call on this because he passed the entrance to the infield. They're going to send a push truck around for him. But he couldn't quite make that left-hand turn down into the infield, and he is stuck right there. The official coming out to talk to him. We're going to tune into the track PA to find out what the call is on this. That's interesting. I've never seen that happen before.
So Doug Fitzwater.
Make sure we send the 10-car Kohler to tech, guys, when he gets up there.
Being pushed backwards.
There you go. So they're going to push him backwards down to turn number 4 so he doesn't cross the stripe down here with the transponder. So will not have technically taken a green flag. So it's going to take just a second as we get a push truck out here. Whew, that was close. So Fitzwater still kind of fumbling around there. So Wilson's going to come out here. And Wilson, we know, is going for the number 16 starting spot. Quicker than a 45.983. So needs a little better, an 11.495 lap time, 11.496 technically, if he wants that number 16 starting spot, which is exactly what he wants. I will say with the mirrored shade on his helmet, the green helmet matching the green on the race car, one of the best looking combinations of driver and race cars sitting out here on the racetrack. Looks like should be something like a die cast that you buy. So set to push off. Here comes Jacob Wilson, the 0-7 car. Watch this, see if he can make some hay. Get that number 16 starting spot inside row number 6. This comes to life. I said, has it been an issue not racing since last year, exactly a year ago? And he said, no, we got enough laps around this racetrack. We're very comfortable here. So see if he could showcase that for us as he makes his way down into turn number 3 and 4. Green flag comes out, and he's going on the clock with the 0-7 car. Warm-up laps at 11.667. That's a pretty good sign. So if he wants that number 16 starting spot, again, that average has got to be down there, way down there. It's lap number 1 going into the books, 11.486, 11.486. Jacob Wilson's plenty fast enough. So he'll sail it down into turn number 3 and 4. 11.495, the average he's got to keep it underneath of as he wants it, and there's 11.461. He is right there. 2 more laps, just like that. We'll put him in that 16th starting spot and bump Scott Hampton out into the middle of row number 6. White flag comes out, and there's 11.348. 11.348 for Jacob Wilson. He's feeling it. Down into turn number 3 and 4 for the final time on this qualifying run. Checkered flag comes out, and Wilson to 0-7 goes 11.333, and you got a new 16th starter on the field. Jacob Wilson looking for that $500 bonus for the 0-7 car. Now goes inside row number 6. So good qualifying effort there for the 0-7 car, and that'll bring out the number 81, Bobby Komisarski, Charlotte, North Carolina runner. Aero C Hydraulics going to attempt to qualify his way into the field. He is out looking in. And I believe that's the same car that Trey Osborne ran last year, if I'm not mistaken. Look out. Snapped loose on him. He heard it spin the tires coming out turn number 2. He's quickly to the binders, and he'll pull the infield. And right there is a prime example of what you're looking for when you come out here for qualifying. You've got to be perfect. That's all you're asking for, perfection. So we'll bring out the number 95. Rob Kiesling be out of wheel the number 95. Kiesling's Inc. Racing, Jeans Root Beer. He is out looking in. So still 47.224. the number to beat if you want to qualify into the field. '95 car fired up. Want to go from a starter stand. Still bringing around. Is he going to take the green flag? Nope, pull back into the infield. I thought that would be the case. Sound a little sharp down in turn number 3 and 4. So here we go, 81 car coming back at us again, Komisarski. That looked a little better. He's on the binders hard and slid the tires down into turn number 1 and 2 on this warm-up lap. So the green flag will fly about this time out turn number 4, and it looks like he's going to make this an attempt for the number 81 car. Hustles it on through, 12.255, and that was a bad push. Took him up high down in turn number 2 as he's right towards the wall and had to stay out of the throttle for a long time. That'll cost him time. With the green flag out, he's got to go for it. 12.254, 12.254. And needs an 11.806 average lap time to make it into the field for the number 81 car. And I'm not sure if he's going to be able to find it or not. As here he comes out, turn number 4, goes 11.989. Better, loose, brakes and throttle. And that cost a lot of time for the ROC Hydraulics number 81 car. White flag comes out for the number 81. 12.716. He'll throttle it down in turn number 3 and 4. Checkered flag coming out. He'll send it across the line. The 81 car will not make it into the field in 2020. So 12.480 for Bobby Komisarski, and he is a scratch from the field. That was his qualifying attempt here today. And he is done. So here comes the number 14 back out. Well, see what he's got in store for us. Just not feeling it, is he? He's going to pull back into the infield for Fitzwater. Says, nay, nay, not today for the number 14. Down to less than 20 minutes remaining for this qualifying here on this bump day for the 72nd running of the Payless Little 500 Anderson Speedway, Anderson, Indiana. Thanks again so much for joining us. Tomorrow, racing action starts at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. If you'd like to watch the Little 500, you can kind of set aside about 2.5 hours to do so. Rob Kiesling attempts to put the 95 car into the field. We appreciate you joining us across the social media, and then Rob back down low drops back into the qualifying line. Make sure you download the Flow Sports apps. $150 a year for everything on Flow Sports. That includes all the great racing action taking place, like, for instance, the USAC National Midget Series, which happens tonight, Sweet Springs Motorsports Complex. We'll be tuned in from out here in Anderson, Indiana, at the hotel room. I'll have it dialed up on the old big screen because you can hotwire it into the TV in the hotel room if you got a HDMI cable. That's the way to go. Join us tomorrow for the Little 500. More racing action coming up on Monday, the Labor Day Classic. Port Royal Speedway, the Speed Palace, that beautiful half mile. On Sunday, holy smokes, almost forgot because I got to drive tomorrow, but we're going to be at Kokomo Speedway. So Kokomo Speedway happening tomorrow on Sunday on Flow Racing as well. We got racing across almost the, well, it's a lot of racing. Kokomo. Speed plant. The worst part about it is I'm so close to Kokomo, and I can't make it there on Sunday because I got to drive, but you'll have that at these bigger events. Here comes the green flag. I'll watch it on Flow Racing. I'm not saying I'll watch it on a drive because none of us would do that, right? It's Fitzwater down the back straightaway. Ooh, where's he going? That was a miscalculation in navigation for the number 14 car, 12.426. Green flag is out for the number 14. He has got to pick up the hustle. Nope. Gonna slow it down for the number 14, 12.452 that lap. He'll bring it down into the infield, and that will count as an attempt for the number 14. So he is allowed 2 attempts. So 1 attempt for the number 14. He wants to go back to the pit area, so he's got a little bit of time to go back into the pits and bring it back out again. So here comes Rob Kiesling. Getting a phone call from Yulee, Florida. I've never even heard of Yulee, Florida. That's going to be spam. So Kiesling down into the corner. Need to be smooth getting around the racetrack. You're going to qualify in. That's not a bad run through turn number 1 and 2. He's got a counter steer coming out of the corner. She got loose on him for the number 95. He is already on a green flag. He's loose coming out turn number 4 and almost got whipped down into the infield. He's going to let out the throttle. He knows that that is not the way to go, so that'll count as attempt number 1 for the 95 car, I believe. So still has another attempt for the 95 car. His crew member was throwing a red flag at him, getting back down in there. They're going to go out and give him a nudge up into the push truck area. The 14 car of Fitzwater, meanwhile, is going back into the pits for major adjustments to come out for another qualifying attempt, and they're all down to less than probably 15 minutes remaining in his qualifying on bump day here for the 72nd running of the Payless Little 500. Let's go back to Facebook here for a second. I kind of left you hanging there, didn't I? Doug Deach, the number 0 car, is qualified. He's 30th quick on the field, so he is in on the inside, or outside, rather, of row number 10. To answer that question, it's up there. See that, Michael? I got you covered. Pine Grove, California, checking in. Goshen, Indiana as well, or Goshen, Indiana. I'm never sure what that is. Mac, correct me. Way to go from starter stand for the 95, Kiesling. Heading down the back chute for Big Rob. Rob trying to get this car into the show. The green flag comes out, and he's officially on the clock for the number 95. Kind of a 90-degree turn down here. Turn number 1 and 2. He's on the binders for a while, but got back to the throttle pretty quick. We'll see what this first lap is for the number 95 car. 11.966. He can work with that. 11.806, the average he needs to maintain to get himself into the show. So not too far off. He needs 3 good laps is what he's looking for. Lap number 2 goes to 11.813, 11.813. That helps out a little bit. Now he needs 2 of them, sub 11.8 lap times, if he's going to get the 95 car in there. So here comes the white flag out. Next lap around is going to be 11.863. Nope, not going to happen for him. For the number 95, and there's another bobble coming out turn number 2 as he caught that little divot. Out turn number 4, checkered flag comes out, and he tries to get the job done. 11.716, his best lap, 11.716. That's not enough to overcome those first 3 laps, however, and I don't believe Kiesling is going to be able to make it in. So 47.358 for him, and that will not work for the number 95 car. He will not make it into the field here this year. So Rob Kiesling is done for the weekend. So Justin Harper, the number 53 car, still hanging on by the skin of his teeth with that 47.224 in the number 33 qualified spot. Doug Fitzwater is out looking in, and I believe the last driver has a shot at making the field. So the 14 car went back into the pit area. We should see him pop back up here before it's all said and done and make a run at it. But again, I'll take this opportunity to thank you for joining us here on the social medias. Make sure you follow along with Flow Racing on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you are a Speed Shift TV fan, you need to get switched over to Flow Racing because Speed Shift social media is going away. The Twitter should be dormant now, so you need to follow Flow Racing on Twitter at Flow Racing. It's very easy to find. And then on the Facebook pages, we're merging the Facebook pages. So Speed Shift Facebook page, if you already like Speed Shift, you'll just be absorbed onto the Flow Racing Facebook page. But then on Instagram, I think that happens there as well. But you're further ahead if you just go like Flow Racing now. It's going to save you a lot of time and effort maybe later on down the road. We'd love to have you on board for that. We have so much racing to show you throughout the remainder of this year and even going into 2021. Couple bucket list events, and one that I always like to talk about when I'm at the Little 500 because there's a lot of similarities between this, the feeling of this event and the feeling of another event that I enjoy very much, and that is the World Championship Snowmobile Derbies up at Eagle River, Wisconsin. I absolutely love that event up there as well. The Little 500 and the World Championship Snowmobile Derby weekends up at Eagle River, Wisconsin, my two favorite events that I do throughout the course of the year. And if you have never seen ice oval racing action, you need to check it out. But that'll happen in January, and it's all going to be on Flow Racing, so we have that to look forward to. Yeah, that event is awesome. There's a vintage weekend, which is the snowmobiles that I grew up with, and then there's the World Championship weekend right after that. Up in Eagle River, you can come up and join us up there, too. Everybody thinks, well, I don't want to go watch ice oval racing action, be outside freezing to death. Well, I got news for you. Most of the spectators are inside with open bars and lots of food and lots of vendors, and you can walk around in a T-shirt and shorts up there. Everything's heated and indoors with huge glass windows that you look out of. Is that three floors on the hot box? I think it is 3 floors on the hot boxes is what they call them, or the VIP booths or whatever you want to call them. We're on the 4th floor where we are. But, yeah, it's all enclosed. It's very nice. If you like riding snowmobiles, you go up there and you rent them, and there's hundreds and hundreds of miles of groomed trails, and just a good time. World Championship Snowmobile Derbies. You can check it out. Derby Complex is the website to go, and you can get your tickets in advance for that. If you can't make it, you can watch it all on Flow Racing. So still a couple minutes left. Still waiting on Doug Fitzwater to come out here and try to race his way into the field. So it looks like our Speed Shift Twitter is still out there doing its thing for a little while. As soon as the merge happens on Facebook, I think they'll go dormant. So we are live across all the socials. Anderson Speedway, make sure you follow along with Anderson Speedway on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. They do an excellent job with their social media. If you're looking for the official qualifying order and everything else, the best place to find that's on the Anderson Speedway Facebook page. They'll post it after it's all said and done. Here comes Doug Fitzwater. This should be our last qualifier of the day, as we are just about out of time. And I don't foresee anyone giving up their time from yesterday to come out here and try to get a better starting spot. I could be wrong, and have been in the past many times. You can ask my ex-wife about that. So here we go. Fitzwater down into the corner. Want to go from a starter stand. Trying to qualify his way in. Needs better than 11.806 lap time. On average, 47.224 combined. We'll see what he has for us. Number 14 car down is going to run her up high and pull her back into the infield. Now, he's not going to go with that on a warm-up lap, so it does not count as an attempt. So the 14 car has made one attempt already. This is it. It's all or nothing on this second attempt. So he has one attempt in the books. If you are coming out here and joining us tomorrow, gates are going to open up at 3 o'clock. And so far, I do have a little bit of disappointment this year, and I hope it's just because it's been the first 2 days they show up tomorrow. The ice cream truck's not here with the homemade ice cream. And they better show up tomorrow because that's one of the high points of the Little 500 for me. They usually have some type of peanut butter or a Tutti Frutti. They had Tutti Frutti ice cream that one year. It was to die for. But you roll out here. It's all kinds of cool things to do. Not as much as in the past, but it will be next year. Hopefully the whole COVID thing moves through and runs its course. Want to go from starter stand. Fitzwater out again. Has some time to work with. If he doesn't like how it feels, as long as he doesn't take the green flag, it won't be an attempt. He already has one attempt scored into books, and he is going to take the green flag. This is it, all or nothing for Doug Fitzwater. Here comes the number 14 car. 12.597 a warm-up lap. Needs better than 11.806. Average lap time to make it into the 72nd running of the Payless Little 500. His first lap for the number 14 car, Little Bob, coming out, goes to 12.328. He needs to find a ton of time on these next 3 laps. And Fitzwater not quite feeling it. I don't know if the car's not quite there or what the deal is. He's going to go a 12.127. He needs 2 record-setting laps right here to make it, and that's not going to happen. As you see that little, again, a Dodge coming out turn number 2. The front end kind of took a dipsy dive on him, took him out towards the wall, goes to 12.334, and Doug Fitzwater is not going to make it into the field. He would have to leave the Earth's orbit at this point if he was going to turn in a lap time quick enough to make the field. At 12.125 for the number 14. He will not make it in. Justin Harper, how about that? gets away with one. He will join us for the 72nd running of the Payless Little 500. Harper in the number 53 car at 47.224, enough to get him in to the big dance coming up tomorrow. We do still have a little bit of time left. 6 minutes remain in this. So we're going to stick around because you never know if somebody's going to pop up out at the last minute. So I'll bounce on over here to Facebook and chat with you a little bit. Greg Noah, thank you for the kind words. Appreciate it. Goods Ice Cream, that's what it is. Thank you, Michael. Man, I love that stuff. Dwayne LaRue, I wish you could be here too, but if you can't make it out here, you can watch it on Flow Racing. So to get the official rundown, I think I may have something screwed up there. I heard him say that Justin Harper is an alternate on this one, so I'm not exactly sure. I thought my list was up to date, and I had 3 that didn't make it in. So your best bet, if you want the official qualifying for the 72nd running of the Payless Little 500, go to Anderson Speedway's Facebook page. They'll have that posted very shortly as soon as the qualifying is over. She does an excellent job with the timing up there. How she keeps it straight, I have no idea, but she does. And she's awesome, super easy to work with here at Anderson Speedway. But that's where they'll put the official start. Don't listen to me. A lot of times I don't know what I'm talking about, apparently. But, yeah, that's the place to find all that. Thank you so much for joining us on the social media. Thank you for joining us on the Flow Racing or Flow Sports apps. Make sure you download the apps. You can find them for Roku, Fire Stick, your laptop, your smart device, your iPhone, your tablet, your whatever. They got apps for everything. That's the way to go. Super easy to work with. But thank you so much for joining us here for the bump day. We're going to do it again tomorrow on Flow Racing or the Flow Sports apps for Little 500. 72nd running the Payless Little 500. Hard to believe, 72 years. How about that? Jeff Bloom, the one I'm thinking of, his 42nd start. He starts 22nd on the field, I believe, or maybe 23rd for Jeff Bloom, his 42nd start in the Payless Little 500. He looks very fast, as fast this year as I've ever seen him look, which is very cool to see. We're going to start up 3 wide, 11 rows deep tomorrow. So fans starting to leave the stands. The officials still hanging out down the infield. We're going to finish this one off with the time. I'm going to throw a little music your way, and I'll be back to bid you adieu here in just a few. Well, with that, I think we are done as the push trucks have left the infield. The officials are starting to make their way around and gather up their equipment and gear, so I think we are done with bump day here at the Anderson Speedway. Thank you so much for checking it out. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for the kind words on the social media as well. We'll see you tomorrow, 8 o'clock start time, 8 Eastern time, for the 72nd running of the Payless Little 500. In the meantime, we're going to the tin plate and get some grub. And then tune in to the USAC National Midget Series on Flow Racing tonight on the app. But thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you mañana right here on Flow Racing.
Racing's not a sport. Racing is a lifestyle. It's all night in the shop and long days on the road. You always push a little harder, and you refuse to lose. Protect yourself. Protect your passion. Pit Stop USA. Live like legends. Racing's not a sport. Racing is a lifestyle. It's all night in the shop and long days on the road. You always push a little harder, and you refuse to lose. Protect yourself. Protect your passion. Pit Stop USA. Live like legends.